Discover the incredible moment a Marine and his K9 transformed a disabled girl's life forever. The sun hung low in the sky as Sam walked Rex along the outskirts of town, his mind a battlefield of chaos. The mundane rustle of leaves felt foreign, twisted by the ghosts of gunfire and screams that never left him. Every crack of a twig beneath Rex's paws sent his heart racing, his gut twisting in an uncomfortable knot. Out of the military, out of the fight, and yet still fighting every day. He hadn't asked to be a hero, but here he stood, a reluctant warrior in a land that felt strangely foreign. Sam had exchanged his combat boots for worn-out sneakers, but nothing felt settled within him. Glancing at the small town beyond, there was a yearning in his chest for purpose. At times it felt suffocating. His fellow Marines were thrust into adrenaline-pumping action while he trudged through the mundane landscape of small-town America. People recognized the stray scars on his skin, but they couldn't see the deeper wounds. The weight of loneliness clung to him like a heavy fog, and even Rex trotting beside him couldn't fully shake the sense of isolation festering inside. It was during these daily walks, however, that he found a momentary reprieve. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Volunteering at the locals' community arena one fateful afternoon turned into a juncture that would shift everything. When he met Lily, a vibrant girl with dreams as grand as her spirit, the world began to tilt. Her laughter rang like music, cutting through Sam's haze like a flash of lightning. "I want to dance," she declared, her positive energy electrifying the room. But the specter of her cerebral palsy hung over her like an unwanted shadow, and Sam felt a jolt of anguish claw at his heart. Internal doubt twisted like a knife. Could he really help her achieve dreams more radiant than sunshine? His torn psyche whispered incessantly, "What if you fail her?" The walls of their small town pressed against him, filled with judgment and voices questioning Lily's ambitions. The same town that cradled him now threatened to stifle her. As their bond deepened, so did Sam's fears. The pressure of his inability to mold her dreams into reality pressed down like a heavy cloak. Days turned into grueling training sessions filled with laughter and frustration. But as the recital neared, disaster struck. A misstep, an accident, a painful reminder that things often went awry. Sam felt his heart plummet as Lily fell, anguish crawling up his throat. He had promised strength, silence ringing in the pit of his stomach. "I've failed you," the thought echoed endlessly. Battling the monsters within him, yet seeing this little girl with her determination brought some hope. He saw her eyes searching for a fight, a flicker of resilience, and in that fragile moment, a fire bloomed within him. Could he truly grasp the mantle of her dreams and nurture them against all odds? As he stood on the precipice of doubt, uncertainty threatened to overwhelm him. The day of recital loomed like a giant, intimidating wave. What lay ahead? The seeds of trepidation sprouted with each passing moment. Would they find acceptance, or would the world's cruelty crush them both? Sam inhaled deeply, feeling the weight of responsibility, and this time, he had to believe in something. He was no longer just a former Marine. They were both warriors in their own right, different yet united in their fight against the shadows. The weight of uncertainty hung in the air like thick fog as the day of the recital approached. Sam found himself pacing back and forth, the rhythmic sound of his sneakers against the wooden floor echoing in the empty room. Rex watched him, tilting his head as if sensing the tumult within his master. Sam's heart thudded like a war drum, each beat a reminder of the responsibilities looming ahead. With each passing hour, the echo of Lily's fall played over and over in his mind, a violent replay that spiraled into a series of worst-case scenarios. What if she fell again? What if all the efforts they made crumbled in front of the audience they sought approval from? The distorted reflection of his faith assaulted him. Could he truly be the bulwark she needed? The idea of failure gnawed at him like a caged animal ready to pounce. "I can't let her down," he whispered to the quiet space, nearly pleading with the air. The bond they forged felt fragile yet intense. He knew Lily was counting on him, and deep down, Sam felt the desperate urge to support her. He tried to conjure the strength he once wielded effortlessly during deployments. How often had he pushed through impossible odds for his brothers in arms? But here, he felt exposed, vulnerable, deconstructed. Responding to the noise of those inner demons took more than the will of a soldier. It required the heart of a healer. Taking a deep breath, he sat down on the dusty floor beside Rex, running his hand through the dog's fur, seeking comfort. "What if I really can't do this?" he muttered. But Rex snuggled up against him, the dog's reassuring warmth igniting a flicker of hope. Instead of succumbing, should he think about what they could achieve together? Perhaps this wasn't just about Lily's dream. It could also be about him finding a way to redirect his own pain into something meaningful. As he carefully considered their path, Sam recognized that to help Lily fully blossom, he would need to do something he avoided, confront his fears head-on. He remembered Lily's laughter, how it seemed to fuel the fire of her ambitions. Her spirit felt contagious, and at that moment, he realized he could learn from that. The power she had to fight through the barriers of her condition inspired him. Her resilience was a lesson, not just for her, but also for him. Maybe this transformation wasn't just about lifting her dreams, it could also elevate his reconciliation with the man he had become. Determined, he stood and began pacing again, now with purpose. They would transform this fear into preparation. Instead of shying away from the spotlight of their recital, he would embrace it. The other Marines taught him about adapting strategies in combat. This instance demanded a similar pivot. They would train harder, focus on precision, and harness moments of joy amidst the rigor. As the sun began its descent, staining the sky with orange and gold, Sam felt a surge of clarity. He would face the day ahead, not with dread, but with strength. The kind he carried in service, now redirected toward nurturing Lily's aspirations. He was ready for what was coming. But just as the resolve settled within him, the phone rang. The voice on the other end was urgent, laden with sweat and panic. "Sam, you need to come to the hospital. It's about Lily." Instantly, Sam's heart started racing again, dread clenching around his throat. Was this the impending crisis he feared? The hesitant breath in his lungs screamed premonition. The stakes had just risen dramatically, and he was left questioning if he could face yet another challenge. With a renewed determination, he grabbed his keys, heart pounding. A new conflict awaited, and this time, everything was on the line. Sam's grip on the steering wheel tightened, knuckles whitened against the pressure. The urgency of the moment surged through him as he navigated through the evening traffic, each red light feeling like an insurmountable obstacle between him and Lily. Pounding was the only sound he registered, his heart racing, the engine revving, and the panic deep within his chest. Thoughts spiraled, each one more urgent than the last. What had happened? Why was she in the hospital? The echoes of his fears replayed in his mind, mingling with a desperate hope that something could be done. Finding a parking spot near the hospital entrance, Sam leapt from the car, the adrenaline overpowering his senses. He moved quickly through the automatic doors, his eyes scanning the sterile hallways, searching for any familiar face. Each step felt heavy, and yet propelled by an unyielding instinct to protect and support Lily, driven by a sense of purpose he hadn't fully grasped until this very moment. "Sam!" A nurse greeted him, breathless as she rushed down the corridor. Her expression was serious but not unkind. "You need to follow me. Lily is in room 312. Following her lead, Sam's heart throbbed painfully in his chest. He couldn't shake the feeling of dread that wrapped around him like a vice. What if he wasn't enough? What if the bond they had forged disintegrated under the weight of this new test? When he finally reached the room, he paused momentarily, steadying himself against the doorway. The sight of Lily lying on the hospital bed, pale and frail, twisted the knife deeper into his heart. Machines beeped rhythmically around her, but the real sound, The soft, stuttered breath she took was an unsettling reminder of her vulnerability. Had it really come to this? Sam. Her voice barely broke through the haze of worry as she turned her head slowly to meet his eyes. The warmth in her expression struck him like a hammer. It was the same light he had drawn strength from in their time together. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to worry you. I tried to practice, but... Shh. He gently cut her off, stepping closer, his resolve hardened. You don't need to apologize. What happened? Lily bit her lip, tears welling in her eyes. I fell while I was working on my routine. They said it was just a minor setback, but... She paused, her courage waning. I thought I wouldn't be able to perform again. In that moment, Sam saw not just a girl who had stumbled, but a reflection of his own battles. Her struggle echoed against his own fears of inadequacy and failure. The stakes were indeed high, and the moment called for an emotional and mental shift. What if this is an opportunity instead? He proposed, inspired by the same resilience Lily had shown him. We can train together here. You have the power to overcome this, just like you've shown me time and again. We'll push through it, step by step. Her eyes widened slightly, a flicker of hope igniting beneath the fear. You really believe that? Absolutely, he assured, an unwavering smile forming at the corners of his mouth. This is just a part of your journey. We'll strategize and practice, just like I did when I was serving. We adapt, and we overcome. As they discussed their plan, a newfound determination surged within him. Here, surrounded by the unfamiliar harshness of hospital walls, a transformative lesson took birth. Sam wasn't just here to heal Lily. He needed healing too. Through guiding her, he began to reclaim a sense of control over his own life. Yet as the sun dipped below the horizon outside the window, shadows danced in the room. An unsettling thought crept in, a lingering question of whether she would be able to recover and harness that strength when the time came. The urgency of her progress weighed heavily on his shoulders, and as they wrapped up their conversation, he felt that they were at the edge of a significant threshold. This was merely the beginning. Sam sighed deeply, sensing the quiet tension hanging in the air. They had a long way to go, but he was ready to face whatever lay ahead. Would they emerge stronger together, transformed by their joint resilience, or would the trials ahead shatter their dreams? With that uncertainty lingering, Sam took a deep breath, sensing the weight of commitment settle over him. What awaited them next would define not only their journey, but also their individual resolves. The moment of truth was approaching. Each day in the hospital brought a rhythm of routine tension and unexpected revelations. Sam's visits with Lily transformed into structured sessions, where they worked through the physical and emotional hurdles that loomed over her recovery. He formed a plan, physical therapy exercises, interwoven with moments of reflection on resilience and determination. Every drill they completed together echoed the tempo of their ambitions, two spirits fighting to reclaim lost dreams. On the third morning, Sam adjusted Lily's posture as she gripped the bed's edge, his hands firm yet gentle on her waist. You need to trust your abilities, he instructed, watching her face crinkle with determination mixed with doubt. Let your body do what it knows. The walls of the hospital room echoed their shared resolve, reflecting outward into the sterile corridors beyond. Remember, it's about small victories, he reassured her. Focus on what you can do, not what you can't. That mantra gnawed at his own psyche. Sam had yet to confront his lingering insecurities, the self-doubt that crept in every evening when the chaos of the day gave way to quiet reflection. Images of his service days, tinged with failure and regret, danced in his mind. He shoveled those thoughts aside, channeling his focus into inspiring Lily. During their breaks, they delved deeper into conversation, peeling away layers of their experiences. It dawned on him that this shared journey tested them both. Lily's vulnerability unearthed a well of empathy within him. Her battles mirrored his, propelling him to confront the scars he thought long buried. He began to realize that guiding her was also a path to confronting his own trauma, and he leaned into it with cautious resolve. In one of their discussions, Lily shared a new fear. What if I don't bounce back like everyone hopes? What if this injury changes everything? The vulnerability in her voice struck a chord deep within Sam, urging him to reflect on his past. So much of his life had revolved around expectations, both his own and those imposed by others. Trembling, he broached his truth. For a long time, I thought my worth hinged on my ability to serve, to succeed. When I couldn't, I felt like I lost myself. Lily's eyes widened, absorbing his confession, a trust exchanged in the sanctuary of struggle. It's like what happens when the thing you define yourself by is taken away, she mused, the fear of inadequacy floating between them like a specter. That's when you discover who you really are, he declared, finding conviction in his voice. You rebuild yourself from the ground up. And you can do that, Lily. Let's show the world, and ourselves, what we're capable of. As they delved into their routines, adversity became a catalyst for growth. For every exercise completed or technique perfected, they reveled in tangible improvement. Those incremental steps morphed into profound victories, the pulse of their shared journey synchronized. The hospital, once a bastion of fear and uncertainty, transformed into fertile ground for hope. But beneath this newfound camaraderie simmered an undercurrent of fear. What if their determination wasn't enough when push came to shove? As days turned into weeks, both Sam and Lily imbued each session with profound energy, yet questions loomed larger. Each mock performance whispering the same grim question. Would the light of recovery shine through when it mattered most? On one particular day, a knock pierced the heavy air of their training space. The physical therapist entered with a serious look, holding Lily's assessment results, and there Sam stood, heart pounding, instinctively reading the tension in the room. We need to talk about your progress, the therapist began, noting the hesitance in her voice. The unknown power of those words hung like static in the air, crackling with urgency. The uncertain fate of their shared journey stood on the edge of a precipice, fragile and suspended in time. Sam could feel the stakes escalating, each second amplifying the anticipation of the inevitable news. What lay ahead loomed like a distant storm, and he braced himself, recognizing a profound truth. The heart of struggle would reveal the core of their essence. Would they be ready for what came next, or would the weight of reality shatter their fragile hopes? The air thickened in the room as the therapist settled into her chair, a folder resting heavily on her lap. Sam's heart raced, the intensity of the moment brewing a storm within him. He turned to Lily, whose anxious gaze mirrored his own turmoil. They had faced physical challenges, emotional barriers, and yet now, it felt as if everything hinged on the verdict of a single assessment. Lily, the therapist began, her voice calm but firm. You've made progress in some areas. She paused as if weighing her words against the gravity of the situation. But there are concerning aspects that we need to address. Sam glanced at Lily. Her body stiffened, gripping the edge of the chair as if it were the only thing anchoring her. The therapist continued, outlining the specifics of her evaluation, but Sam struggled to focus on the words. Instead, his own internal narrative surged, demanding attention. Why had he allowed himself to get caught in this web of hope? Could they truly defy the odds stacked against them? Lily's expression shifted during the therapist's explanation, morphing from eager anticipation to dread as she processed each point. Sam sensed her fear and reflected on his own. Was he strong enough to withstand whatever storm this news would unleash? Would his resolve break under the strain of disappointment? When the conversation inevitably drifted to rehabilitation speed, Sam's thoughts spiraled. What if she can't recover fully? The fear clawed at him like a siren, drowning out rational thoughts. He vowed to project confidence, but the anxiety loomed large in his chest. After what felt like an eternity, the meeting concluded. The therapist provided options for adjustment and alternative therapies. Sam and Lily nodded in understanding, yet the tension remained thick as they left the room. Each step outside was a tangible reminder of the potential setbacks they now faced, not just physical struggles but emotional ones that intertwined their fates. In the silence of the hallway, Lily finally spoke, her voice quivering. "Sam, what if I can't get back to where I was? What if I'm just not enough anymore?" As her eyes brimmed with unshed tears, he felt a pang deep in his gut, a reminder of his own battles with self-worth. "Enough," he murmured, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You were never defined by where you are physically. You're so much more than that. Every obstacle we've faced, every challenge you've overcome, it's all about discovering who you are beyond your abilities. It's about resilience." As they wandered into the adjacent therapy room, the weight of his words hung in the air. Together, they began the next round of exercises. Each movement felt different, infused with a mixture of vulnerability and determination. Sam focused on encouraging her every inch forward, while internally grappling with the relentless self-doubt that haunted him. "Breathe in strength, breathe out fear," he instructed, pushing himself to embody that same mantra. In guiding her, he began to confront his feelings, not only for her, but also for himself. What if this journey could lead them both to growth they never anticipated? With each attempt at a new maneuver, they forged a connection that went beyond mutual struggle, a profound understanding that healing was a dual process. It became increasingly clear that together they could cultivate something bigger than recovery. As they collapsed into exhausted laughter after completing a particularly difficult set of exercises, a flicker of hope ignited within Sam. In that moment, he understood that while he might not have all the answers about Lily's path, guiding her through the unknown allowed him to confront his demons. "Thank you for pushing me today," Lily said, the sincerity in her voice stirring within him, a burgeoning strength. Yet, amidst the fleeting joy lingered a shadow, the lingering fear of the unknown. What awaited them on this journey ahead? The path might twist and turn, revealing corners they were not prepared to navigate. "Lily," he said, his voice barely above a whisper as they exited the therapy room. "We've only just begun. There's so much more to uncover." And just as the weight of their struggles threatened to drown him, Sam locked eyes with her, the resolve solidifying. What lay ahead could define not just their recoveries, but their very selves. But he also knew they had yet to face the true test of their strength. The days to come promised to challenge everything they had built together, and deep down, both sensed that a reckoning was approaching. As they stepped out into the fading light of the day, the realization dawned. The next challenge was lurking, waiting to disrupt their fragile equilibrium. Would they embrace it as an opportunity for transformation, or would it fracture the connection that had become vital to their journey? Doubt gnawed at Sam's insides as they departed the therapy room, shadows of uncertainty trailing them into the bustling hallway. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting elongated shadows that wavered before them. He stole glances at Lily, whose face wore an expression etched with unease, a mirror to his own growing apprehension. "Maybe a solid plan would help," Sam suggested, though his voice lacked conviction. He was aware that plans often crumbled under the weight of reality, much like their hopes had during the evaluation. Yet what other choice existed? The idea of drifting through uncertainty left him restless. Lily nodded slowly, her gaze focused ahead as they found a quiet corner of the facility to sit. "What if we wrote it down, like a detailed step-by-step of what we need to work on?" Her suggestion pierced through the fog enveloping his mind. "Let's do that." Sam felt a spark ignite. Was he perhaps not just a support for Lily in her recovery, but also a participant in it himself? Writing their ambitions and concerns could transform hopes into tangible goals, an act of agency amidst their struggle. He dove into the task, like diving into water to cleanse the confusion that clouded his thoughts. As they spoke about specific exercises, milestones, and emotional triggers, he realized how much of their experience had focused on Lily, while he had overlooked his needs for growth. This was not just about rebuilding her strength, it was also about defining who they were beyond this journey. Sam hesitated, ready to voice an unfiltered thought, but caught himself. What if this turned the conversation inward in a way Lily wasn't ready for? I think we should also make a list of things that scare us, Sam said, testing the waters. Not just the physical rehab stuff, but everything. Like fears about the future. Lily considered this, and her brow furrowed as the weight of that idea loomed. What scares you, Sam? Her directness sent a shiver through him, a wave of vulnerability crashing against his facade. I'm scared that if you don't fully recover, it'll change our entire relationship, he admitted slowly, cringing at the honesty. I don't want to lose you, but I don't want to be defined only by this. The silence resonated between them, an electric tension infused with their unspoken fears. Lily's eyes softened, then turned steely with determination. Then we redefine ourselves together. No matter the outcome, we face it as allies. Her words ignited a sense of purpose within Sam, pushing him closer to understanding that moving through fear was intrinsic to their personal growth. They were inextricably linked. If Lily faltered, so would he, and vice versa. The journey was non-linear, an intermingling of victories and setbacks. As their lists began to take shape on paper, a testament to both their fears and aspirations, Sam felt transformed. Each bullet point glanced brought clarity, stripping away ambiguity. They were constructing a map, hand in hand, that would guide them through the treacherous terrain ahead. But amidst the shared revelations, tension crackled in the air. What lay beyond the horizon? Would the foreboding reckoning also bring unprecedented breakthroughs? Or would it act as a harrowing test, sending them spiraling? Tomorrow we tell each other our fears, Sam proposed, recognizing the urgency in their task. It was no longer about Lily's recovery alone. It was about embracing resilience, confronting inner turmoil alongside her. The weight of that commitment hung heavy, but thrilling. As they headed back to their respective homes that evening, Sam was aware that he had stepped closer to uncovering a version of himself he hadn't known was there. But even as they planned to face the next day's fears, the gnawing questions persisted. Would sharing their vulnerabilities entwine them tighter together, or would it expose cracks in the fragile ground they stood on? The answer awaited them, shrouded in the uncertainties of tomorrow. The air felt electric as dawn broke, a sharp contrast to the heaviness of the night before. Sam woke with a mix of anticipation and anxiety swirling within him. The moment of truth had arrived. Today was the day they had agreed to confront their fears, a significant step forward in their journey. It was one thing to list fears on paper, quite another to voice them aloud. As he prepared for the day, Sam noticed he moved with unusual urgency. He deemed each physical action, a brush of his hair, a buttoning of his shirt, as potential markers on their map of discovery. Clearing the table, he stared at the list from the previous day. It felt sacred, the weight of their aspirations written in ink, and yet it also felt utterly overwhelming. His heart raced as he thought of what lay ahead. How would he convey the unspeakable fears that terrified him? The fear of loss, of inadequacy. Would Lily's vulnerabilities mirror his, or would they expose chasms he had never imagined? He shook his head, grounding himself. This was not just about him. It was about both of them emerging stronger. Arriving at the facility shortly after, he found Lily already at their usual spot, fidgeting with a pen, her eyes reflecting unspoken trepidation. The moment they locked eyes, an unspoken understanding passed between them. Today's conversation would require all their courage. "Hi," she said softly, a hesitant smile breaking through her apprehension. "Ready?" "Yeah, you?" "Let's just dive in," she said, her determination echoing Sam's inner resolve. They sat across from each other in the quiet corner, the lists spread out like battle plans before them. Sam cleared his throat, the lump forming an obstacle he needed to navigate. Lily gestured towards their concerns, inviting him to begin. "I'll go first," he conceded, feeling a surge of vulnerability settle between them. "I'm scared because I feel like I might fail you. That if things don't get better, I'll be left without knowing how to be there for you." Lily's expression shifted. Her understanding of his fear made her own echo back. Sometimes I think about how this whole process might change me. What if I'm not the same person anymore? The realization that they shared parallel fears imbued Sam with both comfort and discomfort. So, we're both scared of losing ourselves in this? Yes, she nodded, firming her resolve. But I think that means we need to actively find who we are in this. The discussion bloomed from there, each fear peeling back layers like the skin of an onion, raw and honest. Sam learned that Lily had been grappling with her identity, unraveling dreams of her previously active lifestyle against the stark reality of her physical limitations. For her, fear materialized as the haunting question of whether she would still be viewed as complete if she couldn't walk as freely. In turn, Sam revealed his apprehensions about becoming overly defined by their struggles, fearing he would lose track of his own individuality in the caregiving process. Every disclosure led to deeper revelations about their vulnerabilities, hopes, and aspirations. Maybe the point of this journey isn't about fixing each other, Sam posited, the thought crystallizing in his mind. Maybe it's about discovering who we are, unearthing those buried aspects of ourselves while we piece each other back together. He noticed the light dawning in Lily's eyes, a reflection of newfound hope and clarity. If we focus on defining ourselves through our strengths instead of weaknesses, we might construct something beautiful. His heart raced as she leaned forward, excitement blending with apprehension. They were forging a path neither had anticipated, a journey not just of recovery, but of profound self-realization. But as strong as the discussion felt, Sam couldn't shake the underlying anxiety that lingered. Would their intimate revelations solidify their resilience, or would they expose deeper fissures in their relationship? As the conversation shifted to potential steps forward, a sudden realization sparked within Sam. The unknown had transformed into a powerful driving force. What would they discover if they delved deeper into their capacities, confronting not just their fears, but their limitless potential? Today was only the beginning. Tomorrow, they would explore exactly what that potential could mean, unearthing new depths they both had yet to fathom. The idea filled him with exhilaration and dread. A new dawn ripe with promise or peril lay just ahead. The sun rose with an intensity that mirrored Sam's thoughts as he strolled into the facility the next morning. There was an urgency in his step, but it came wrapped in a newfound sense of purpose. After yesterday's heart-to-heart with Lily, an exhilarating awareness of their shared potential bubbled beneath the surface. Today, they would not simply confront fears. They would embrace the challenges ahead and begin to redefine their identities, both individually and collectively. As he entered the room, he found Lily already immersed in a series of exercises, her face flushed with determination. The familiar sight of her concentrated efforts fueled Sam's resolve. He was ready for what lay ahead. The dull weight of apprehension had transformed into a lightness, an eagerness to discover what they could truly achieve. "Hey," he greeted, excitement edging his voice. "I'm ready to take action today." "I was hoping you'd say that," she replied, her lips curving into a spirited smile. "I've been thinking we should set some goals, not just about our fears, but what we want to accomplish, how we want to grow." The prospect ignited something within Sam. Goal setting had long been a mundane chore in the past, often leading to disappointment. But now it felt crucial. He grabbed a notepad, the blank pages yearning for the ink of intention. What if we create our vision, specific milestones we can reach together and alone? His voice held a note of urgency, a hint at the significance it carried. Lily's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "Let's do it. What's the first step?" "Let's start with you. What's something you want to achieve that makes you feel like you're still you?" Sam inquired, leaning forward, fully engaged. Her candidness from yesterday inspired him to be even more direct. She paused, brow furrowing as she considered the question. "I want to participate in a charity race next year. Not just to run, but to reclaim my sense of freedom and capability. I want to make it a statement. Show people that I'm more than my limitations." Her words ignited a deep recognition within him. That's incredible. And I think it's vital that I support you through this. I need to find something equally meaningful. I don't want to just merely be a caretaker. I want to redefine my strengths too. Then what's stopping you? Lily probed, leaning closer. What do you want to do? He hesitated. The question echoed around the room, amplifying a realization that had been taking shape at the edges of his consciousness all along. I want to learn to train K9s. They're more than companions. They teach responsibility, partnership. Maybe I could use that to channel my ability to support you and others like you. I could see us being a part of something bigger. A primal surge of determination coursed through Sam. He felt the reins of his identity slipping back into his grip. Lily, sensing his shift, smiled brighter than before. Then let's make that happen. We'll push each other, learn from our setbacks, and celebrate our victories, all the way to your first trained K9 and my race finish line. The idea of pushing forward, not just for themselves but together, elevated their conversation into uncharted territory. They were crafting a narrative where vulnerability didn't signify weakness, but rather a pathway toward empowerment. Yet beneath this newfound resolve lurked an unsettling prospect. Would their aspirations, once realized, drive them apart? In pursuit of their strengths, would they risk redefining their relationship in ways they could not foresee? As they jotted down their goals, a promise hung in the air between them, a commitment to truly explore the dimensions of their potential. What lay ahead was a concoction of exhilaration, laced with uncertainty, an adventure poised to reveal more about themselves than they had ever dared to imagine. With the walls of fear beginning to crumble, Sam caught a glimpse of the enormity of their undertaking. Each task ahead now loomed larger, filled with challenges, yet also bright with the promise of success. As they moved into the next steps of their journey, an unsettling question loomed over Sam's mind. How would the execution of their ambitions reshape their identities, and how would it influence the bond they had started to cultivate? As the day unfolded, Sam's thoughts raced alongside the rapid cadence of his heart. The goals they'd established felt monumental, yet this weight was balanced by a flicker of excitement. He peered over the notepad, the ink etching out not just aspirations, but a roadmap to a new version of himself. Okay, let's do some research, he suggested, standing up and stretching. We should find a training program for K9s, something that could guide me, something reputable. Sounds like a plan, Lily replied, her intensity radiating confidence. They began busily searching online, their conversation peppered with laughter and enthusiasm, weaving dreams into tangible action. As hours passed, however, Sam began feeling something else. A gnawing disquiet nestled amidst his ambition. Conversations grew more profound, thinking in hypotheses about the impact of their choices. His progress felt imminent, tangible like the warm sunlight filtering through the windows, yet a prickling anxiety surfaced. What if he could train K9s, but wasn't ready for the responsibility? It was then that he stumbled onto a local animal shelter offering an introductory seminar on canine training techniques. The excitement welled up again, but with it came a series of questions. Could he really handle this? Was there a chance he would fail, letting down not merely himself but Lily in the process? Hey look, he exclaimed abruptly, gesturing at the computer screen. This workshop could be perfect. It's designed for beginners and covers everything from basics to advanced tasks. Lily peered at the screen, a mix of eagerness and encouragement in her expression. Sam, this could be your first hurdle, and you're ready for it. Why not just sign up? His hand hovered uncertainly over the keyboard. Smoothing out his self-doubt, he took a deep breath, conscious of the fears that still lurked in the corners of his mind. The rapid thoughts of inadequacy cascaded one after another, each threatening to undermine his resolve. This was more than just training. It was a venture into unknown territory. You're right, he nodded. I need to embrace the challenge. With that, he registered for the seminar, an exhilarating rush of adrenaline washing over him as he clicked the final button. Lily clapped her hands in delight, her enthusiasm infectious. This is just the beginning. You'll be amazing at this. Yet as they celebrated, a shadow danced in Sam's thoughts. What if he wasn't enough? Would this decision shatter the connection they were forging? He did well to keep the doubts at bay, reminding himself that he was taking steps toward growth. The seminar day arrived, draped in anticipation. Sam felt an exhilarating nerves twining through him, each pulse a reminder of the leap he was taking. As he walked through the shelter's welcoming doors, he was hit by the scent of fur and energy, dogs playing and barking, a symphony of life and potential. "Focus," he muttered under his breath. "They're counting on me." The reality of his choice loomed larger as he oriented himself amongst strangers, all eager to embark on similar journeys. Every novice smile shared carried a twinge of vulnerability, instantly shaking loose some of his fear. He listened attentively as the instructor spoke of the intricate bond between humans and dogs, a connection fueled by trust. It echoed directly with his aspirations for Lily and fueled his ambition. If he could cultivate this trust within canines, he could also strengthen his relationship with her. But deep down, a storm swirled. Would each dog trained demand more of him than he was able to give? Would he rise to the occasion, or would he fall short, trapped in his doubts? The intensity of these thoughts magnified as Sam was introduced to the first dog he would train, a shepherd mix with soulful eyes that seemed to peer into his very core. In that moment, everything intensified. His purpose, his dreams, his fears. Pressing forward became a daunting challenge as he stood at the crossroads of potential, feeling the heavy burden of not just his own expectations, but now that of this dog too. How would he respond to this trial? The weight of the moment fell heavily upon him, leaving behind a haunting question. Could he really bridge the gap between aspiration and reality, or was he destined to face his inadequacies head-on? Sam stood frozen, his heart racing as he gazed into the soulful eyes of the shepherd mix. It was as if the dog sensed his turmoil, tilting its head in curiosity. This moment, filled with promise yet marred by doubt, marked a pivotal chapter in Sam's journey of self-discovery and transformation. "All right, buddy," he found his voice, his determination solidifying. "Let's do this." As the training session commenced, Sam felt the tension begin to ease. He learned about the dog's temperament and how to build trust. Each successful command given and obeyed was a step toward fostering a bond, both with the dog and within himself. With every session, he was not just training the K9, he was healing pieces of himself he thought were lost forever. One evening after a rigorous day of training, Sam returned home, Rex wagging his tail in excitement. In the quiet of his living room, he reflected on the transformation unfolding within him. Months ago, he felt like a stranger navigating life post-military, shackled to his past. Now, he was beginning to reclaim his identity, both as a trainer and a mentor, for himself and for Lily. Meanwhile, Lily was thriving too. Her recovery trajectory had accelerated, and she could feel the vibrant energy coursing through her once more. Approaching the charity race was no longer an abstract dream. It was now a tangible goal she embraced with fervor. Sam witnessed her blooming confidence during their sessions, and it fueled his own resolve. One day, as they worked through a particularly challenging routine, Lily turned to him, beaming. "I achieved my first real milestone today. I walked more than I have since my fall." The joy radiating from her lit up the room, sending a wave of pride surging through Sam. "That's amazing, Lily," he exclaimed, throwing his arms around her in an exuberant embrace. In that moment, he realized that their journeys were intertwined. Her victories reflected his strengths. They were rising together, steadily conquering challenges, finding fulfillment they hadn't known was possible. The night of the charity race arrived, intensifying the excitement in the air. As Lily donned her racing gear adorned with motivational quotes, Sam felt an impulse deep within. He watched as she tied her shoelaces, steeling himself for the emotions about to surface. This was her moment, but it was theirs collectively. His heart swelled with pride and honor to be part of this journey filled with vulnerability and grit. When the starting gun fired, Lily surged forward, her determination palpable. Sam felt in his bones that this race represented more than a finish line. It embodied resilience, purpose, and a full-circle moment of healing. He noted the cheers of the crowd, and there was something powerful in that energy. They were not just spectators. They were witnesses to triumph, ignited by courage, their courage. As Lily reached the finish line, her legs moving stronger than ever before, Sam's tears spilled over, mixing relief with joy. She crossed with her arms raised high, soaked in disbelief and exhilaration, surrounded by a community rallying to celebrate her triumph. It was the culmination of their journey, and he found himself swept in a wave of elation. Days later, as Sam stood in a park conducting a K9 training demonstration for the shelter, he caught sight of Lily in the audience, brimming with pride and applause. He felt a deep sense of accomplishment pulse through him. He had conquered self-doubt and found solid ground amidst uncertainty, weaving threads of purpose and fulfillment into the tapestry of his life. The end of one journey unwound itself into another. As he wrapped up the session with the last command, he noticed both handlers and spectators drawn in, inspired by the possibilities unfolding before them. Every moment became an echo of resilience, bound by their shared experiences. Together, Sam and Lily set their sights on new horizons, continued recovery for her, ambitious K9 training goals for him. They had risen above the limitations that once tethered them and began crafting an evolving narrative of empowerment and healing. And just like that, they embraced their next chapter, fueled by hope, unwavering trust, and lasting friendship. They conquered fears and limitations. They had proven, undeniably, that transformation happened not in isolation, but through connection, resilience, and the undeniable power of believing in oneself. This moment stood as a clarion call to anyone grappling with their own fears. Embrace vulnerability, seek support in surprising places, and allow transformation to unfold in its beautiful, messy way. As they walked forward, side by side, ready to embrace whatever life threw their way, Sam felt a deep sense of contentment settle within him. The journey of healing, growth, and purpose lay ahead, and with it, a profound appreciation for every step taken, together. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It really makes a difference. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.